And it was all through posting on social media. And because of this, it's led me to making thousands of dollars. How to create content as a music producer. It could be hard to put yourself out there, especially if you're not used to it. And I'm not saying I'm the best content creator out there, but I've been doing it for the past 5 years and I've learned so much. So I'm gonna just talk about my experience and hopefully this can help somebody out there. So I'm gonna just jump right into it. You gotta be good at what you do. Learn the ins and outs of your DAW and find a niche. For me, it took me years to really get good at FL Studio. I started off making trash beats in like 2016 and I thought they were great. Really what I did was watch a bunch of YouTube videos on how to make a certain style of beat. Some people that I was watching were channels like Busyworks Beats and Internet Money and Nick Mira and all these tutorials. And over time, I not only learned how to make trap beats and R&B and pop, I really found my own style. I found out how to make whatever I wanted, basically. What I'm trying to say is learn the ins and outs of whatever program you use, whether it's Pro Tools, FL Studio, Ableton, Logic, because if you want to post content on social media, you want to sound like you know what you're doing. I didn't mention this, but I eventually went to school for audio production and video editing. So that was a big key to my career as well. I learned how to record vocals in a professional studio environment. I learned how to mix and master. At the same time, I was making beats as well. I'll be sure to link some channels that I still watch till this day that I've learned how to mix and make beats from. On to the next thing, start with what you have. If you just have an iPhone and you're wanting to post 3-5 times on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, just use your iPhone. There's so many creators out there that are just making iPhone content that are killing it, and more specifically like producer creators that are just using their iPhone. But yeah, I started off using my iPhone to create content on Instagram a while back, and then that eventually led to me wanting to learn more about video editing and cameras, and really you just want to use what you have. Right now I'm even using my iPhone microphone to record the audio into my camera, and I think it still sounds great. So that brings me to my next point. I felt that I was ready to get a decent camera that shot in 4K, but it wasn't gonna break the bank. And every time I tell people it was only $500, they're surprised. That's because I learned about lighting, basically, I feel like. And I've heard people spending, a couple $1,000s on cameras like a Sony, but right now I'm using this Lumix G6, and you can get it on Amazon, I think, for like $500, $600. And it's a great start for, especially if you're just doing social media and YouTube content. It's very easy to use. And I've been using it for like 5-6 years at this point. So coming back to the lighting, one thing I want to hit is that you don't need to get expensive lighting gear. I found a light off of Facebook Marketplace, which is where I get a lot of my stuff from. And I think it was like 60 or 80 bucks. I'll also link the videos that I watch that help me learn about lighting. On to my next point, you don't have to rely on just one style of content. Sometimes I want to use my camera and sometimes I want to use my iPhone. It's just whatever is more convenient for me at this point. One of my most viral pieces of content that I made was shot using this iPhone. And basically it was just me acting like I was making a beat on the Amtrak. And that video got a couple 100,000 views on Instagram, which gave me 2,000 followers just from that video. I think one thing I learned from that is to not overthink what I'm doing and what I'm posting, to just have fun with it. For me in the moment, it just seemed like a good idea, and I'm glad I did it with my iPhone. Another big thing to know is that this is a marathon game, and it's not something that you will see results right away. It took so long of posting consistently for me to actually see results, to see people following me, interacting. And that's why I think it's good to start off using your iPhone and not doing like a high production type video. Because if you're always setting up a camera and setting up lights, you might get burnt out really fast, and that would suck. If you're using your iPhone and you're just doing videos on the fly, it's super easy to do. You don't need to spend hours and hours editing your video. As long as it looks good and you're adding value with your content, then I think that's what matters. One thing that I learned too is to keep track of what's trending on social media. I'm not saying you need to copy and paste what you're seeing that's working on social media, but if you can take a trending audio, or if you could take a video editing style and apply it to your own content and make it your own, that could be a good way to grow your page. I've done this several times where I've watched a creator and I liked the way they had text pop up on the screen, or I liked their captions, I liked their graphics. I try my best not to copy and paste that, but I've definitely found my own style over the past couple years. And that's one thing that definitely helps make you stand out, is kind of just ride those trends. Don't think about it too much, because yeah, sometimes they could be corny, but that's kind of the game that we're playing, is just doing what other people are doing that works, but making it your own and making it unique, so that way you stand out. This brings me to my next point, which is learning a editing software. Right now, I think CapCut is free and you can use it on your web browser. You don't have to download anything. That might be a great start for you. And you can also use it on your phone. So like taking a video, adding music and adding captions, you could do that all from your phone. I personally use Adobe, and I use Premiere Pro and After Effects to edit all my videos. In the past, I've used iMovie and that worked. For me, I knew I wanted to learn an editing software, especially since I'm leaning more into video editing as my career choice now. And it didn't take too long to learn Adobe. I would say learning Adobe was a lot easier, for me at least, than learning FL Studio. And that might be because I was younger when I was learning FL Studio, but Adobe is not as scary as it seems. And you don't need to know everything about Premiere Pro and After Effects to really make a good video. There's things that I'm still learning just watching TikToks and Instagrams about video editing and music producing. I wouldn't stress too much about learning Adobe. If you don't want to, just stick to CapCut or stick to iMovie, whichever one you have, it doesn't matter. As a video editor, I don't see too many people talking about video editing assets libraries. And what I mean by this is websites like Motion Array or Envato Elements. Basically, there's these websites that offer you thousands of different editing assets that you can use to improve your videos. And it's easy, it's like drag and drop. I think this might be one of the most key elements to upgrading your video editing as a content creator. A lot of times music producer content is shot on like an iPhone. It's not like heavy production. So if you want to stand out, this is a great way to do that. I believe they cost $30 to maybe $70 per month, but you can get a free trial and download as much stuff as you want, or you can get like a month and download as much stuff as you want. And I'll be sure to show some videos that I've used their assets on, so that way you can see what I'm talking about. They have a lot of text presets, a lot of MoGarts, which is motion graphics templates. Another thing to know is that with editing, it's kind of like learning a DAW. It's like learning a music production software. It takes time and you have to practice and you have to watch tutorials. But if you've learned FL Studio, if you've learned Logic, you can learn Premiere Pro and you can learn After Effects or whatever video editing software you want to learn. Really, it took me maybe a year to really learn ins and outs of Premiere Pro. And at that point, I was just making fun videos for like Instagram and YouTube or whatever. But now I've done so many videos that I've gotten really, really good at video editing and taking videos that it's my full-time career at this point. I've made the transition from wanting to produce music and work in a studio. I found that I really fell in love with video editing over the past couple years, and I feel like I'm really good at it. And posting content regularly helped me get a bunch of different clients, and that's why I continue to post on social media basically. When it comes to producer-specific content, you really just have to put yourself out there, because there's the stereotype that producers, we just like to sit in the house all day and like not see any sunlight, and that might be true for some of you, and that might not be true for some of you too. In reality, you have to just put yourself out there, because it's really hard to get beat placements because there's so much competition and it's so saturated right now. But if you can find other ways to make money from producing, whether that's tutorials, whether that's doing brand collabs, that could be a great way to make a consistent income. And you could also promote your beats on Instagram. My suggestion is doing it in a more unique way. Right now, it's kind of corny to just like point your phone at your beat and just do this the entire time. But if you can find another way to promote yourself or promote your beats, that can help you stand out. And I've done this in the past where I've done studio sessions and I've recorded like a vlog or like a day in the life, and doing stuff like that led me to working with other artists and to also selling beats on like BeatStars or selling beats through Instagram DMs. If you think there's no purpose in posting content on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, there really is, because you never know what can happen from it. Another thing I want to talk about is the importance of having goals. Like I've mentioned before, I've made the transition from producing and working in studios to being a full-time video editor, and you can apply this content strategy to whatever you want to do, basically. So I've been posting consistently on social media for a couple of years now, and basically it's led me to so many different opportunities to working with clients that I've never thought I'd be able to contact. And it was all through posting on social media. And because of this, it's led me to making thousands of dollars through providing video editing to several different companies. And I would say you can apply this strategy to whatever you're trying to do. If you want to be a producer, you can definitely showcase your skills through Instagram or through social media, and people will see that. If you're really good at it and you're really consistent and you reach out to people and you watch tutorials and you do everything you can to get out there, it will work. So for producer-specific content, I want to break it down into 3 specific styles that you can use today to produce content for yourself. So for the first style, obviously a beat showcase would be perfect for a producer or a beat maker. If you take 3 to 5 different angles of you making a beat and then cut it up in a way that looks good, that matches the beat, this could be a better way of posting your beat or posting your song versus just using your iPhone camera and going back and forth like this. And also, this is so simple that you can use CapCut to put this stuff together. You don't need to use Adobe, but if you want to, feel free to do that. Another thing you can do if you're a music producer and you're wanting to make content is make tutorial or educational content. This might seem like a no-brainer, but for me, since I've been producing and video editing in that case for so long, I feel like I know everything at this point. And I have to remind myself that not everybody is at the same spot that I'm in. So there's thousands of kids out there that want to learn how to make beats. They want to learn how to use FL Studio, and you can be providing important content for them to come back to and save that video. All you have to do is find a topic to talk about. If you know how to mix and master music, there's so many different ways you could go about it. You could talk about your favorite VSTs, you could talk about your favorite plugins, and one thing that's really important to remember is that if you use something like a plugin from Plugin Boutique, or if you use a Waves plugin all the time, these brands are looking for content all the time. They're looking for real organic usage of their product. So if you tagged whatever plugin you use or whatever company that you use, like Waves, you can possibly get a sponsorship from them. You can possibly get a repost from them. You could possibly get just another connection that you can use in your network. And that's something that I've done many times and it's always worked. And lastly, another style you can go about for making content as a music producer is more of like a lifestyle piece of content. Something that's more aesthetic, something that looks like it took more time to record. This could be really good if you're a recording engineer and you go to the studio every day. If you set up your phone for like 5 to 6, 7 different angles and you record yourself working in the studio, meeting with artists, and you get a bunch of B-roll, you can easily put together a really cool lifestyle aesthetic video that you could post on Instagram or TikTok, and this might attract clients to work with you. They might see your personality through the video. They might see that you did a really good job working with this artist. These are all things you got to think of when creating content. It's not just to do it. It's not just to post. It's not just to get views. It's to also just promote yourself and to promote what you're doing. I've done this so many times where I've gone in the studio and I recorded kind of like a vlog style short form piece of content for Instagram. A lot of times I'll get somebody reach out to me from that video, and that's just another client I have now. So this is a great way to promote yourself. And that's 3 things to do. If you're a producer and you're looking for content ideas, try that stuff out. You can also use ChatGPT to come up with ideas. This is a great thing to do if you don't know what to do. There's so many good ideas out there. Don't be afraid to try them, and you never know what could come out of it. So just put yourself out there and see what happens.